All right, to start with, just to kind of get your brain warmed up before we take a little quiz, I'd like you to figure out if you borrow $100 from me and you pay it back over 24 payments, that's 2 years, but monthly, and I get 7% interest on my loan, how much would the payments be? All right. Dice of Destiny. It's row 2, last person. All right. Tell me how you did that. I'm going to go into the apps. TMV Solver. How many months did you figure? What interest did you figure? What was the present value? And why is that positive and not negative? Because it went into your bank account. You borrowed it from me, so it was positive to you. Why are the payments negative? Because they come out of your bank account. And let's see what we calculate to be alpha. Solve, you said $4.48. You were right. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, awesome. Now, there's a different tool that we will use to use that $4.48 payment. Go over into your y equals and put the same loan scenario in there. Borrowed $100. Now you know what the payment is. The nice part about this is you can calculate to the penny how much you total paid for that loan. It's going to be more than $100, of course, because of the interest. All right, so if you don't understand what I'm talking about, then you really don't get the project either. So you need to understand this. So one more time, how much did you borrow? $100. How much interest was it? 7%. And then the payment minus $4.48. There. Now, if you do the right thing, you'll be able to figure out what the grand total was that you paid. Hint, if it doesn't come up to more than $100, something went wrong, because you obviously paid me back $100 plus interest. All right, I'm going to pause for a second while you try to get this answer without me, and then we're going to take a little quiz on this same topic. All right, so the student is telling me that I should go to the 24th row of the table. Can you tell me why I'd want to go to the 24th row of the table? All right. And it looks like at the 24th month, you all of a sudden don't owe anything anymore. In fact, after 24 payments, you have this 0.07 thing. What's that negative 0.07 thing? That's what they owe you back. Right. Okay, so then did you go 24 payments times $4 and what was it again? 48 cents. And then that equaled like, I don't know, 100 and something. And then you subtract. Okay. And then we subtract 7. Is that exactly 7 cents or is it around 8 cents? Here's how I can know for sure. I go on top of it. See, it says 0.0704. That's definitely 7 cents. It's not 8 cents. Be careful with it, though. So I get this answer, and then I subtract 7 cents. And the grand total came up to how much? How many of you got 107.45? Okay, good. Now here's the question. Didn't you actually try to borrow $100, but somehow you ended up paying back more than $100? So how much interest did you pay? Talk to your partner. See what you think the interest was. All right. It is as simple as you were trying to borrow 100. The extra that you paid, $7.45 of interest. All right. The only thing that bothers me, and honestly, right this second, I cannot like process this. Shouldn't I have made like 7% interest twice? Because like I borrowed you $100 over 2 years. Shouldn't I be getting more than just $7 interest? Doesn't it feel like you should be getting more than $7? Well, I get to get a little bit more than $7, but not much. Why? Because you started paying me back right away. Do you get what I mean? You didn't borrow the $100 and then wait 2 full years and then pay me all back all at once. Because if you had, I'd have made $7 of interest for the first year and more than $7 of interest for the second year. But you didn't just save up the money and then all of a sudden pay me all at once. You started paying me back right away. So even after 1 month, you didn't owe me $100 anymore. See what I mean? Okay. All right, so total interest you paid this, total you paid that. You get the difference? Total is the big number. The interest, that's the smaller number. Okay, I think you get the idea. So now here's my question for you, and this is a 5-point quiz. It was actually going to be 4 points, but then those are so rough. If you get one wrong on a 4-point quiz, you got a 75%. That's pretty rough. So I decided to make it a free point here. So your first question is super simple. It's just, what's your name? So number 1, just write down your name. Number 2, I'm going to give you a scenario, and all the rest of these questions come from that scenario. Question 1 was your name. I'm serious. Write that down. Otherwise, you don't get that point. Number 2 is if you borrowed $300,000, thank you, right there, and headed back there, at 3.75% interest. I had to make it a little more challenging. When you borrow to buy a house, you borrow for 30 years. I'm not telling you the payment. You figure out the payment. So question 1, what's the payment? Sorry, that was question 2, technically. Question 3 is, I'd like you to write the recursive equations for this. You know, like u sub 0 equals 20. U sub n equals u sub n minus 1 times 1 plus, you know, that kind of thing. Write the recursive equations for this situation. Question 4 is total you paid. Don't be shocked when you end up paying way more than $300,000 for your house. And number 5 is interest paid. That's easy once you know the total you paid. It's easy to figure out the interest at the end. All right. The reason we're doing this is because the project that we are doing right now is exactly like this. It asks you for these exact same kind of things. All right. So I'm going to pause for a second while you try to answer these 5-point quiz. It will be graded by somebody else, so make sure you write legibly on your iPad. And I'll resume again in a minute when I grade this. Okay, in the grading of this thing, this is just meant to be a quick reminder of how these work. So, in the grading of this thing, number 1, their name. If they didn't write their name down, take off a point. I told them to write their name down. Okay, number 2, payment. What is your payment? Now, if you want to get your point back, just put your name on the paper. All right, anyway. So, number 2, the payment, you would have gone to the TMV solver, and you would have put in years, 30, but can't just put in 30, go 30 times 12. And then the interest rate we were doing was 3.75, and then the present value was a loan of $300,000. Some people ask, why isn't that negative? Because you put it into your checking account when they gave it to you. It was a positive thing to you. It wasn't negative. It made money go into your account. But now the payments, those are negative because you had to pay them back for 30 years. Those are negative. So, negative 1389.35. If the kid doesn't know how to round properly, they lose a half of a point. They need to learn that because it's to the penny. And if you don't round right, you're going to lose partial credit. 1389.35. All right, next thing is we go to the y equals screen and we put all of this into the calculator with a loan of 300,000. Arrowing up here, I have to change my interest rate to 0.037, and I got to insert a 5 there. 0.375 divided by 12, because this is monthly, right? And then minus that payment, I need somebody to help me with this. What was it again? Thank you. 1389.35. Awesome. Now I'm going to go right to my table settings and go to 360 because this is a 30-year deal, and then get it working. That's the table. I need the table, not the graph. Okay, that's going to take too long, so I'm going to break it. And I'm going to try again and go to second table. Now I'm going to pause while it crunches the numbers. All right, while that thing finishes to crunch, it does take a long time. Here's what they should have written. U0 equals 300,000. UN equals U sub n minus 1 times 1 plus 0.0375 divided by 12 minus 1, I forgot it again, 1389.35. Thank you. And then, I'm not going to mark for this, but how many of you would be able to mark the kid wrong for not having n greater than or equal to 1? How many of you would be able to take off a half a point? But we're not going to do that this time. But on the project, I will. So please include the domain. Don't forget this. And this number is always just one bigger than whatever you started with here. Okay, but again, I'm not going to take it off for this particular little quiz. All right. Total you paid. Finally, my computer is done crunching here. And as I look, it looks to me like after 359 payments, I was close to paid off. Then finally at 360, I was paid off. And what is this little negative number? They owe me money back. Okay, so you go 360 payments of 1389.35. And then I got to remember $2.14. 360 payments times 1389.35. But then they owed me money back minus, how much was it again that they owed me? $2.14. And then there's your grand total. 500,163.86. So do you get that you paid them way more than the $300,000 for the house? Because you had to pay interest. All right. So then what was the interest? And I'm just going to go subtract 300,000. Yep. And there it is. 200,163.86. Do you get that banks can make some good money on this? All right. And here's the thing that's even crazier. They don't even have to use their own money. The bank lends you the money, but it's not really theirs. What they're doing is taking people's deposits, other people's deposits, and then they're taking the other people's money and then lending it to you. You get what I'm saying? The bank isn't even giving you their own money. They're giving you other people's money. See how that works? So if we wanted to make a bank, and each of you gave me $1,000, then I have like $30,000. I'm the bank. Is it my money? No, it's actually all yours. But let's say somebody comes to me and wants to borrow $7,000. I could take $7,000 of everybody's money and lend it to you, and then make interest on that. But what if everybody came and asked for their money back at the same time? Then I don't have the money. It's called a run on the bank. And that happens sometimes where everybody says, I want my money back. I want it out now. Bank can't do it. Then that causes big problems. So the government really, really doesn't want the banks to have like that situation. And so in our country, it's insured up to $250,000 by the government. So that gives the people more peace of mind, like they won't go run the bank to try to get their money back. Like, oh, I think my bank's going to go out of business. I want all my money back. And if everybody does that, the bank actually can get in big trouble. So the government keeps people from doing that by insuring, it's called FDIC insurance, insuring your bank balance. Okay, anyway, thought you might find that interesting. That's why the banks make money, and they do it with other people's money. Okay, so all said and done, you just graded one that was out of 5. Remember, that first one was worth a point. Free point for putting their name down. How many of you just graded a 4.5 or better? All right, awesome. Then put CB and your name if you haven't already. CB Craig B or whatever your name is, and get back to your own spot. Pausing for a second. Okay, this is the part where you will Dropbox that. If you have issues with it, don't Dropbox it until you talk to me. But if you think they screwed up the grading, you can talk to me. Please talk to them first, because I want to, I want you to make sure you understand why they marked something wrong, because they just did it. They probably will know. And then if you have a dispute, you can always ask me. Then Dropbox that, and I want to just briefly spend our last minute before I give you the rest of time to work and talk about the project from beginning to end. Let me just do a super quick run through of the project. Pay attention to this part. If you're busy Dropboxing and then you don't understand the project, that'd be dumb. All right, so let's say that I was doing a job where I make $12,000 a year. I totally get that's a really low amount. You pick the number. $1,000 a month was what that would be, right? And then I just put those kind of off to the side here. Then what is this? This is the exact same thing you just did a second ago. It's a loan, and I'm asking you to figure out what the payments would be on that loan. And let's say that the payments come out to $350. They don't, but it's kind of close to that. The next question is, write out the recursive. I think you guys all understand u sub 0, u sub n minus 1. Don't forget the domain. That kind of thing. All right. This next question, be looking at your project right now. If you aren't, you should have it loaded up in front of you. The next one is, experts at the U.S. Department of Ed say you can't afford to pay more than 10% of your monthly salary towards paying down your student loans. So basically, what is this max that you can pay towards the student loans? Well, for me, the scenario I just did, I can only take 10% of my $1,000 a month, which is I could only afford $100 per month. That's how much I can afford. Do you get that the actual loan is more than that? Well, what's the point? If you're going to get a really low-paying job, you cannot afford to have $35,000 in student loans. Do you get to just quit the project at this point? No, you have to still keep going. You're going to take the loan anyway. You're just not going to be able to afford it. You're going to be working an extra job or going to have to not eat or something. All right, so maybe you want to change your job, but you don't have to. You just can't quit the project if right here you can't afford it. Because based on this guideline, would you be able to afford it? No, I wouldn't. A lot of jobs would, but not if I only make $12,000 a year. All right. So again, the theme here is I'm just going to kind of go through the whole project and talk you through each part. Because I got a lot of questions near the end, so let me help you with it. All right. Exactly how much you would have paid total, loan plus interest, after paying off your loan in 10 years to the nearest penny. That's exactly like what you just did. 10-year loan, that's U sub 120. And let's say it's $1.50 or something. Do you made 120 payments of about $300, and then you got to subtract off how much they owe you? That's exactly what we just did. Okay, so put a star by this one. It's the same as what we just did in class. Same. All right, on to number 7. Don went to a school that required him to pay off far more in loans than yours. He had $100,000 in loans. So basically, you're doing a new thing where you're figuring out Don's payment. Don's payment is a lot bigger. I'm going to round here. Let's say Don's is about, no, it's not like 700. I'm going to round it to like 1,100. Do you get, I was only able to afford 100, and his payment would be 10 times what I could afford? See what I mean? So that's just trying to get you some perspective on Don's monthly amount, a lot bigger than the average amount. The average amount was like $300 loan, $300 a month or so. Okay, now moving on to, could you have afforded Don's loan payment? Well, definitely not. Now here's where I got a ton of questions. Number 9. Since you made lower loan payments than Don, if you were able to start with $0 and invest the difference between your loan payment and Don's, okay, do you get Don's was like $1,100? Do you get that your loan payment was like $350? Do you get we're subtracting those two? Difference means subtract. So do you get that difference is about, I'm not going to give you the exact number. You have to figure it out. Do you get it's about $700 a month? So that's the amount that you're going to invest, $700 per month. For how long? Stop spinning, please. Thank you. How long are you going to invest that for? 10 years. 10 years, 7% annual return, and that's your payment. I got to ask this a million times. People thought that's the present value. No, that's how much you have every month, $700 every month. Because you're not making this massive loan payment, you have $700 a month that you can invest. When it's all over, do you get $700 per month for 10 years is going to add up to a lot of money? I'm going to round it here. Let's say it's about $120,000. You just put in the numbers here that you used to calculate that. So if you now have $120,000, this is just 10 years after stopping college. So you are only 10 years into your career. You got a long time before you're even done and you're retired and stuff? That's where this last part, number 10, that's where you take the 120 that you've got and you save it for another 35 years at 7%. Am I making payments? No. Because we were just comparing with that extra money that you didn't have to pay because you didn't have giant loan payments. All right. So, rough numbers here. If you take 120,000 of present value and then you go 35 years later, do you get it's going to grow a lot? 35 years, that's a long time. It's going to grow a lot. And then you'll be able to tell with the grand total, the difference that would have accumulated into your account. And it's over $1 million. Quite a bit over $1 million. And the point is, don't be Don and take out too much in loans. If you really want to take out that much in loans because you are certain that you're going to be able to become a doctor, awesome. But I wanted to talk over that even. I've seen examples where people went to med school and then ended up not becoming a doctor, but you still have the loans. So you got to be careful that you don't think you're going to, it'll be okay because I'm going to make a lot of money. But if you take out these huge loans and then you don't become that thing, like a doctor or a lawyer. I saw one that it was a story about somebody who had gotten to the very end, and then the bar exam, they wouldn't even let the person take the test because something that they had done in their past cropped up, and they wouldn't let them test for the bar. So they couldn't pass the bar exam, so they couldn't become a lawyer, but they still had all the loans. So my point is, if you're taking the loans, you're assuming you're going to get the job, but you might not. So it's dangerous to take those huge loans. And that's what I'm trying to get across. Not that you shouldn't take loans for college. Totally understand that a lot of people are going to take loans for college. But be careful of taking the big loans. All right. And then last but not least is number 12, and that's where you get to have any scenario you are interested in. Like, for instance, one kid said, I just tried to figure out if I paid the most I could, how long it would take me to pay off my college loans. Cool. That's your own little separate project. You write up what you figured out for that. Another, like if I were this kid way back in the day, I would have probably wanted to figure out, well, if I save this much a month at maybe I think I can get a little higher interest rate than that because I'm going to be better than average at picking stocks or whatever. See what that number would come to. Maybe you don't just get 7% in the stock market. Maybe that's your job and you try to get a much better rate, like 8 or 9%. Maybe you could see how much you'd have then. So you figure out on that last one, it could be almost anything. Just use the TMV solver or use recursive equations and then tell me what you figured out. Maybe you want to take a loan to buy a snowmobile. All right, that covers everything. And now tomorrow, you are going to have more time to work, but 20 minutes of tomorrow, we'll be taking a top 20 that will count in the homework category. It won't count as a test yet, but if you're not good at that top 20, got to get you to figure that out early in the semester. So tomorrow, top 20 plus more time to work on the project. Then the project is due at midnight on Thursday. Because Friday will be kind of a fun day around here. All right, that's all I have for you for today.